and welcome to Dogma, the podcast where we put the fun and mental in canine fundamentals. This is where you learn everything you need to know to make your best friend the best that they can be. I'm your host, Cindy Scott. I'm a holistic dog trainer, behavioral consultant, and author. And over the past 25 years, I've helped tens of thousands of dogs and their owners, and now I'm here to help you. So let's get at it. Hi, puppy people. Welcome back. I'm Cindy Scott, and this is Dogma, the place to learn how to bring out the best in your best friend. And today I wanted to talk about something that I get asked quite a lot, and that is how to find a trainer. Obviously, I get this question asked to me. Ooh, that's bad grammar. I hear this question a lot. That's better grammar. From people out of my area that are looking for a trainer in their area. And so I will tell you exactly what I tell them. And first and foremost, I want everyone to know that I'm not sure about other states, but the state of California, there is no license required, no certification required other than a business license, obviously. But there is no real license or certification. All of the certification that I have is voluntary. And this is something I want people to know because not all trainers are created equal. Somebody can really just read a book and call themselves a trainer. And I've seen that. I've seen people, and in fact, I had someone come to me a couple years ago that wanted to apprentice with me. And I sat down with him and talked to him and showed him what it would take. And he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to pay the money. He didn't want to put in the time. I don't know. But a couple months later, I saw that he was just started his own business and was out training dogs, had zero experience, had no training, and was just out working with dogs. So buyer beware is the best thing that I can tell you. Please, please be aware that just because somebody calls themselves a dog trainer doesn't mean that they have any sort of certification, any sort of background in it. I've seen some people that were dog walkers, and one in particular I remember was walking dogs for a while and then just, out of experience in handling the dogs, decided to be a trainer. And again, no certification, no, training per se, just on the job training on their own. So, and then there's other certifications that you will see people call themselves a certified trainer, and they will get a certification from a private school, dog training school, or sometimes large companies will do training. There'll be like a dog company. I don't want to say anybody, but they'll be doing retail or something else, and then they'll have training on the side, and they will say that that they have certified dog trainers. Well, their certification process is like a couple of weeks, and then the people take a test, and then they're certified. So maybe they have some hands-on experience. How much? Don't know. How much canine knowledge? How much behavior knowledge? Don't know. So that's something that you should ask. And please ask. Don't hesitate to ask. You are your dog's advocate. They can't ask. So when you are taking your dog to a school, or any sort of training program, and they say that they have quote unquote certified trainers, ask how they got certified and what the certification process is. What does the dog? I keep saying that, Freudian slip. What does the trainer know? What do they have to know to be certified? How long is the education process? And and then ask the trainer and ask them some behavior things. See if they know what to tell you, or if they hesitate. There's a few things that every trainer should know, and basically ask them, to define classical and operant conditioning. That's the basis of all behavior, whether it's dogs, cats, people. it all comes back to classical and operant conditioning, and ask them questions, ask them to define it. And they don't have to go into detail. You don't have to be a specialist in it, but they should at least know what it is. And trust me, I have talked to other trainers when I will say something offhandedly about, oh, that's, basic classical conditioning. They'll be like, what is that? And after my heart stops, I'll be like, you know what? You need to go back to school. And that's one thing that I really recommend. People will ask me, that want to become dog trainers. And my best advice to them and my best advice to you looking for a dog trainer is find somebody that has an education. I call me old fashioned. I am a firm believer in a college education. Get a degree, associate's degree, bachelor's degree. That tells you a lot about a person, and not just their knowledge, but their stick-to-itiveness. Is that a word? They're able to complete things, their professionalism, and it just tells you a lot about that person, I think. So I am personally one that is wholeheartedly an advocate for get a degree. Get a degree. And I learned so much in college, and that's one of the things I'm proudest of, besides my kids, of course, is my degree. I was the first one in my family, either side of my family, to get a bachelor's degree, and I'm very proud of that. And it was a lot of work, and I think that says something about somebody that is that. Besides the fact that I learned much in my psychology classes, talking to the professors, talking with the other students in class, doing that undergraduate work, really, you learn so much. And so I'm a big advocate for that, whether you want to become a trainer, whether you are looking for a trainer, somebody that has a degree, or at least somebody that has taken some good old fashioned psychology classes, because again, that is the bottom line. You can know a lot about dogs. You could have handled dogs for 30 years and know how to handle them. Doesn't mean you know why they're doing. And that's really important, because I've seen a lot of people that are good at handling dogs, but they have to be able to teach you how to duplicate what they're doing. Because again, dogs are such good discriminators, but bad generalizers. So what that means is dogs will learn to listen to me, but it doesn't mean that they're going to listen to their owner. And obviously, it does their owner no good if the dog listens to me. So we have to be able to transfer what the dog is doing with me back to the owner, and not just one of the owners, but the whole household. So it's really important for the success of the training that the trainer knows what is going on so that they can transfer it to everybody else. And if they don't understand basic psychology, they're not going to understand that. I had one apprentice that came to me from a training school, and he was apprenticing with me. And their final was, they had to demonstrate how to do certain things with a dog, but they also had to describe to me basic behaviors like housebreaking, chewing, digging, those sorts of things, separation anxiety, how to handle those things. And I remember I asked him about the potty training. I'm like, okay, so, how do you dog? And I'm expecting the steps and elaborate, exaggerated. I can't even remember what he was saying. I just remember I was so confused by it. I'm like, why are you doing that? And I asked him, I said, okay, well, what's the theory behind that? Why did you do that? Why would you do that with the dog? Or why would you suggest doing that with the dog? And it's like, I can't remember. It was so convoluted. And his answer was that that's how he trained his dog, which is great, but your dog is not his dog. And every dog is different. Every situation is different. There's breed nuances. So it's really important not just to understand that something works, but why it works, so that it's duplicatable. Is that a word? I just made up a word. But it has to be something that the owner can duplicate, not just that it worked for the trainer in their environment with their dog, but it has to be, um, they have to know why it works so that they can transfer it to your dog. And the other thing is, I've run across trainers that will be like, "Oh, we're German Shepherd specialists, or we're Doberman specialists, or we're whatever specialists," and which is great if you have a Doberman or a German Shepherd. But if you're coming to the German Shepherd specialist and you have a Dachshund, they may not really understand the nuances of a little dog as opposed to a big dog. And there are differences between a German Shepherd and a Dachshund. Yes, it's the same species, but there's differences. And because of, you know, what the dog was bred for, one breed may be more predisposed to do a certain behavior than another breed, or they may respond differently in a different situation than another breed. So there's generalizations that we do, but of course, even within the breed, there's individual differences. So not every German Shepherd is the same, not every Dachshund is the same. And then you've got, of course, your mixed breeds. So it's really important to understand the basics and the fundamentals of what's going on with the psychology of your dog. And then, of course, understanding on animal husbandry, you know, the vaccines that dogs require, the physicality of each dog. And again, a Doberman has different things going on than a Dachshund, especially a Dachshund. I mean, those dogs with the long backs, we really have to be careful of that. And we don't want to encourage them to do certain behaviors that may put pressure on those backs. So there's things like that that they should learn. And again, something like that would be taught basic biology class, or doing an animal behavior class in college, or frankly, one of the best experiences I ever had that taught me so much was working for a vet. I worked for a vet for I was in college. I don't even remember how long, and I learned so much. I could teach now, but I learned so much just talking with the veterinarians, and now I have several vets that are dear friends of mine, and getting their opinion and just the hands-on, learning about the vaccines, learning about the different diseases, learning about the different conditions that we have to be aware of. And especially when it comes to behavior, you could have something like, a urinary tract infection is going to make it impossible for a dog to be potty trained. Or if a dog has different parasites, Giardia, Coccidia, we see a lot of Giardia, and symptoms of that are not always apparent. So sometimes they'll have loose stools, sometimes they'll have fine stools. So people will get very frustrated that their dog is having pooping accidents. But if they've got one of these parasites, and it makes it possible to house train them, or best case scenario, it makes it really difficult. And nuances like that. Also, something like diabetes. One of my dogs right now, Bosley, is diabetic, and although I'm aware of it, so when he started to show symptoms, we were able to get him tested, regulated. But I had a dog 15 years ago. I think we lost Herschel about 15 years ago now. It's been a while. But Herschel was a standard poodle cocker mix. Oh, gosh, great dog. I love this dog. But he's diabetic. He's about 11. He's diabetic. And he didn't start with the drinking a lot. His symptoms really started with he was just ravenous. And so he started counter surfing, stealing things, getting into the trash. And it was so not like him. So that was a big tip off to me that something's going on with him. And then he a lot and or started increasing his drinking. And that's when I'm like, oh, he needs to be checked. We need to have his blood sugar checked. And sure enough, he was diabetic. So sometimes, I guess the point of my rambling story here is sometimes behavior can be indicative of something physiological going on, whether it's a condition like diabetes or an infection like a urinary tract infection or a parasite. But your trainer needs to be aware of that. Also, if your dog is on certain medications, it can affect their behavior. Even something like prednisone, if they're on prednisone, it increases their thirst, so they're going to drink more, which is going to make them pee more. So, one of the first questions I always ask is, okay, health conditions. Second question, medication. And if it's a yes to any of those, again, it's a red flag that there might be something, not always, but there might be something within them physically that is affecting behavior. So that's one of the big red flags too. If you're talking to a trainer and they don't ask about their health, I would question that a little bit. First and foremost, I would ask about their experience, their credentials, their certification, their education, their experience, and then just listen to their responses and listen to the questions that they ask about your dog. Are they asking about your dog's age, your dog's sex, not just their gender, but are they spayed and neutered, which again really can affect behavior? Are they asking about any health conditions? Are they asking about history? Or are they just launching into selling you a big program? So just ask a lot of questions. Now, the other thing that I recommend when you are interviewing or checking out potential trainers is, of course, ask for referrals. And if they give you referrals, that's fantastic. The next thing, though, is I would ask to come sit in on a class, come watch them. And so not only do you see them in action and you get to see their techniques, you get to see the results that they're getting, but you can also chat with the people there and go, hey, what do you think? What's going on? Are you getting results at home? So it's not just a reference that you checked out and has said that they're going to get. Actually talking to people, real students. So going and sitting in on a class is something that I highly, highly recommend. Because people can look good on paper and even my classes. I mean, I'm not always the right trainer for everybody. Some people want somebody that's not so making stupid jokes all the time, or somebody that's more serious. I'm all about the family dog. I'm all about let's come, let's have fun, let's learn some stuff. And I'm about a family dog. I'm not about protection training. I'm not about any of that stuff. So I am not always the right trainer for everybody. I am the first one to say that. There is no one size fits all. So by going to a class, meeting the instructor, seeing their training techniques, you get a feel for if this is a good fit for you or not. And, frankly, if you're comfortable asking them questions, I hear this a lot, both from my friends that are veterinarians and, people asking me questions, like medical veterinary questions. And I always say, I'm not a vet. I think this, but I would talk to your vet. And a lot of times, say, well, I'm not really comfortable asking my vet that. And then you should talk to another vet. I think it's really important that you feel comfortable asking your vet questions, asking your trainer questions, as silly as they may be. If you have the question, it's important. And honestly, we're a team. We're a team for your dog because your dog can't advocate for themselves, so we have to advocate for them. So you, your trainer, your veterinarian, are all on the same team. And if you don't feel comfortable asking questions, then it's probably not a right fit for you. You need to find somebody that you feel comfortable with. So I think that's just as important as everything else. So finding a trainer. Oh, and the other thing is professional organizations. So, you know, their credentials, where they got certified, their education level, references, um, experience. Now, when I talk about experience, I'm not just talking about, you know, their training, but did they apprentice with somebody? I think there's a lot to be said for apprenticeship. I apprenticed personally for a year before I started training for somebody else. And then I worked for somebody else 2 or 3 years. I can't remember now. Life is a blur. Before I started my own company. And the reason I started my own company, honestly, was because I was pregnant with my second son. And Alex, my oldest son, has been 2 or 3. And it was just too much. So I wanted more control over my scheduling, my time, etc. So that's honestly why I started my own company. But I apprenticed with this other behaviors for a full year before I even started doing classes for them. And I think that apprenticeship is so important, getting that hands on experience while you are still being supervised by somebody else. Because honestly, it's very important, not only your dog's health, but your dog's mental health. You know, if somebody comes in and does something with your dog or suggests that you do something and it's not the right thing for your dog, it could be a huge setback. So I take it very, 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 very seriously that what we do with every dog is in their best interest. It's not about my ego. It's not about your ego. It's about your dog. And I have seen so many people where it's about their ego. And I don't like that. That's really again a big red flag for me. So apprenticeship. If they apprenticeship with somebody, I think that's huge. And ongoing education, and then actually seeing them during a class, actually watch them train. And then professional organizations that they belong to. While belonging to a professional organization, it doesn't guarantee that they actually have a lot of knowledge or experience or credentials. But I think what it does show is that they view themselves as a professional. And a lot of these professional organizations, they do have ongoing education and newsletters and, all the websites now, they have videos and ongoing education. Continue because anybody that thinks in any field, anybody in any field that thinks that they know it all, that they don't have to keep learning, oh my gosh, I don't even want to be around those people. I am like, I want to learn everything about everything. There is no way, shape, or form that I think that I know it all about anything. If I am not reading, I'm watching videos about something. I don't know. I guess maybe that's just something about me, but I just have this thirst to learn, whether it's about dogs, behavior, or whatever. Things fascinate me. So if there's somebody in their profession and they think that they know it all, that they don't have to keep reading, that they don't have to keep going to seminars and lectures and talking to other behaviorists, then next I would talk to the next person to be sure. So professional organizations are also a good source because they will have registries of members, so you can go on and type in your zip code and find out, who in your region is a member. APDT, Association of Pet Dog Trainers, was started by Ian Dunbar, and again, if you're talking to a trainer and they don't know who Ian Dunbar is, next he is like, I think he's the gold standard, and please Google him. He's amazing. Other great behaviorists, Terry Ryan, Aaron Pryor, Roger Brontes. I mean, there's just so many. But if you mention some of these world class behaviorists and your trainer isn't familiar with them, next. But the APDT, Association of Pet Dog Trainers, ap.com, .org. But they're a great resource. They have a great trainer search in there. Type in your zip code and it'll pull up people in your area. And again, it's a good place to start. And then you can call up those people, check out their websites, and start interviewing. So let's see, what else can I say about that? So certification, licensing, none required. Know that. Say that they're certified, not all certification programs are the same. And so ask where they got their certification, ask where they got their education, ask about their experience, how long have they been doing it, ask, and not just education that they went to like a dog training school, but again, I'm totally old school. Look for, did they go to a college? Did they go to a university? Do they have some higher education? Whether they graduated or not, I think that's a bonus, but at least if they went, you learn so much. Give my mom's speech, go to college. And it shows that they're serious about it too. That this isn't, I just picked up a book and now I'm going to call myself a dog trainer. So ask about their experience, their certification, education, if they did an apprenticeship, and how long was the apprenticeship, with whom, all of that, and professional organizations, if they're familiar with certain terms like classical operant conditioning. And then just listen to how they talk about your dog. Like I said before, if they're asking questions about your dog, if they know about the health, if that's even a concern for them, and then just buyer beware is the best thing that I can tell you. Cannot ask too many questions. You cannot be too careful. I like it when people ask me lots of questions, because this is your kid, and this is your kid that can't talk. So you have to be an advocate for them. So ask a lot of questions. And if somebody doesn't like you asking a lot of questions, again, kind of a red flag. I love it when people ask me questions. I will talk your ear off all day long about anything. So ask away, ask away. So there you have it. How to find a dog trainer, a good dog trainer. Let me preface that. Ask your vet, ask your friends, and then ask a lot of questions. So there you have it for today. Please, please, please comment if you have comments, suggestions. I love to hear them. Absolutely. Check out my website, myzendog.com, for more information about me, my credentials, everything. I won't bore you with all that. And till next time, go play with your dog.